Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 98 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the massive episode that was uploaded a couple of days ago at the British Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that was a blockbuster episode in terms of the driver market madness we had. A very different looking Formula 1 grid, especially at the forefront with the top 10 fight. A lot of the usual suspects have moved teams in a very strange turn of events that you would have seen last episode. So like I said, if you want to get clued in and get kind of a bit less confused maybe about what you're seeing right now in terms of that driver market, then check that out. But we move on then and press on with the rest of the season with this new look and a bit of a different dynamic, I guess, for a couple of different drivers and teams for sure. Last episode was also very important, of course, because, spoiler alert, after a very topsy-turvy first half of this season, we were finally able to get that first win under our belt. Of course, our teammate Russell, before the British Grand Prix, had all the wins for our team, had two of them, Giovinazzi with two, even Esteban Ocon in the Ferrari there in P4 in the standings has 2 wins to his name, and we were yet to get one, so we've finally done that, and we've broken the curse of Silverstone, I guess, for the last 2 game cycles where everything and anything has happened to us at Silverstone, or just the car has not performed very well, we've not been performing well. It was a very different story. We got the fast lap of the Grand Prix, the pole, the win, not quite a full Grand Slam like I actually thought I did at the end of the last episode, because technically, obviously, that means you have to lead every single lap, and there was that safety car comeback we had to come through. But even with that, even with a poorly timed safety car, we showed perseverance, pace, and a really decent effort at the end of it to get the win. And now firmly puts us back into the frame properly for the Drivers' Championship for the first time in a long, long while. We're 2 points behind George Russell, a further 8 points to Antonio Giovinazzi. So the Italian, the man who's moved from Red Bull to Lotus Renault mid-season, not through his own reasoning, really, more so because he got kicked out by one Lance Stroll and his dad buying the entire Red Bull outfit. But, the championship leader has still got a very healthy margin. 8 points in the context of how close this season's gone is quite a fair amount. So we're going to have to try and pull up our socks and continue to apply pressure and hopefully use that British Grand Prix as a springboard of momentum going into the rest of the season. Although the momentum was maybe slowed down a little bit with the speed bump there of an electrical fault issue at the start of Q1, but that's not going to be an issue. In Q1, you got plenty of time to sit that out for 3 minutes or so and then go out and get that flying lap in. There is some cloud cover, and there was a forecast for potential rain coming in, not just on Saturday, but also Sunday, so we're going to have to watch out for that. But the car really vibrating as we go up the hill towards the Kemmel Straight there, so not quite the porpoising I think we're seeing in real life, but definitely some high-rate suspension travel as these cars are flying, obviously all maxed out and so much quicker than the base cars now 6 seasons in. But Q1 was a very odd session. Felipe Drogovic in his new Red Bull, on the new emerging stars of this series at the top of the session, but that's surprising because I would have thought Red Bull would have been quite poor around Belgium and Monza like they have been in this series so far. And we had a shock Q2 entry of Max Verstappen. He's way up in P9 in his new Haas, whereas his teammate Hamilton is knocked out. Mick Schumacher is knocked out in the Mercedes car. So Mercedes kicked out Verstappen because they were tired of him not doing too well this season. They hired Mick Schumacher away from Red Bull, and out of job Mick Schumacher, to try and solve the issue. And in the end of it, in this Saturday, I know obviously like I said it was topsy-turvy, but in this Saturday the new hire has been knocked out by the man they kicked out in a Haas. So yeah, I don't know, it was a little bit glitchy I feel Q1 with some of those times really, because there wasn't even rain involved in that first session, unlike this second session, because you can see it's looking pretty doom and gloom out there, overcast. So we're actually going to go out straight away, drive out manually out the garage to ensure that we're one of the first people out there on the track, because if this is going to start bucketing it down, basically the guys who get their laps in earliest are going to benefit the most, and we don't want to be caught out basically later in the session trying to do a lap on a track that's too damp. For now, it's not looking too bad. The rain is definitely coming down quite consistently, you can see with the droplets on screen, but by the time we start our flying lap, look how damp this circuit looks, and this kind of, again, kind of illustrates how ridiculous the kind of rain graphics are in this year's game with, you know, it looks pretty much time for intermediates, but there's still plenty of grip actually for these dry tyres. It will be a slower lap than we would get in bone dry conditions. You can see a little twitch at the top of the hill, just catching the rear end ever so subtly, but it's still going to be pretty decent on these tyres and not too bad as we try and chop and change, having to catch the car a little bit there. So I kind of almost cursed myself a little bit by just saying those words of how easy it may be still around the circuit, because it's still a little bit of jeopardy. You know, it's not bone dry, but, you know, for what the visuals are saying, you know, it doesn't really match up with what I'm feeling in the steering wheel, which is pretty decent amount of grip actually in some of these corners, and especially traction as well. So we go across the line, we set our time, Norris beats us, and we've got a few people behind me that are going to go quicker, but we are within the top 10. But then as we're going through to the end of the session, the last few minutes, I can see on the indicator that it is now saying it's going to get back to dry, and looking at the preview window, it looks like everyone else was going out again for another flyer. So we joined them, and good thing we did, because everyone, I mean everyone, went out for a second flyer on a new set of soft tyres. So pretty much in the top 10 shootout, everyone is going to have a one shot in the top 10. But can we even get through into the top 10? We're out of position, but no, we are going to be comfortably back through into the top 10, as you would really expect with the car, with the way it's performing, and our qualifying is obviously as of late. So myself and George are through. Both Red Bulls are through, with the Alpha Tauris and the Lotus Renaults continue to impress. Obviously, Giovinazzi, the championship leader, the new man at Lotus Renault, doing well, but Lundgaard equally, he's got to be said, you know, overshadowed probably by the championship leader, but he's up there in the top 10 as well, so he's doing a stellar job. And Lance Stroll only just about gets his Red Bull in the top 10, showing maybe really, you know, the car is obviously good, but Lance Stroll really is just there because of what has happened off circuit, really. But now it's time to go to that top 10 shootout. But like I alluded to, everyone in Q2 used 2 sets of soft tyres to get through, because we all thought it would actually continue to rain, and we were surprised by the track drying out. So everyone is here now on circuit, pretty much doing our one and only flying lap. This is bottom right. You may notice the engine icon is orange. It's only the control electronics, so we still have a pretty damn good performing engine. It's just the control electronics that will simply wear out the other parts a little bit more. I was actually considering taking an engine penalty at this Grand Prix, but with Monza being the next one, I thought that may be the better place to take it. So thinking a bit tactically about that, and so we'll address that next episode then at the Italian Grand Prix. So right now, just focus then on the task at hand, trying to put in the best lap we can. It's pretty much then a one-shot qualifying essentially in this top 10 shootout, getting very close to the wall on the right-hand side there in the middle sector, down into the final corner, and then trying to get the power down. Where are we going to place? Across the line, and it's going to be just behind George Russell. And oh, what the? Lance Stroll has hit us in the rear. Both of us finish our qualifying laps. We're on an in-lap there, and he's decided to hit me and cause me underfloor damage. So just like in real life, Lance Stroll is getting into some issues with hitting another car in qualifying. This time around, definitely a bit more his fault than, of course, it was in Australia. But then in qualifying, then the final results, because that was it. Everyone set that one lap, and that was it. And so it's Esteban Ocon once again showing Ferrari still have some good qualifying pace. They're just getting, as usual, a bit unlucky in the races as of late, as we haven't seen Ocon really feature in the top 5 ever since that second win he got at the Canadian Grand Prix, have we? But Giovinazzi in the Lotus Renault on the front row. So showing, and Lundgaard being P9 kind of shows, yes, the Lotus Renault car has come of age a little bit, and they have been improving as a team, as an outfit, but clearly it's more so the driver making the difference. Just like Drogovic was ahead of Lundgaard, Giovinazzi massively ahead of Lundgaard here, showing why he may be the championship leader right now. And like I alluded to in Q1, the Red Bulls lacking a bit of outright one-lap pace, because they are going to be a little bit slower around here in Monza, just with the nature of their car base in their chassis. But I'm sure there might be some opportunities in the race. Going to be a tough one with tyre wear, of course, as well. And you never know, there also might be a bit of chaos, safety cars, jeopardy, whatever there usually is here around here. Let's go to the grid.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan-favourite circuit. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Let's discuss Red Bull. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Antonio Giovinazzi will lead us away from pole position, and talented Spaniard Carlos Sainz completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, the owner-driver, Charles Leclerc and Gasly, Drugovich, Lundgaard, Stroll and Lando Norris. Ocon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas and Armstrong, Matsushita, Verstappen, Callum Ilott and Mick Schumacher, Ticktum, Aitken, Joe and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
You do need a bit of luck sometimes in Formula 1 over the course of the season, and the championship leader is being gifted some more luck, it would seem, because Esteban Ocon has a grid penalty. So Antonio Giovinazzi in the Lotus Renault, only in his second race at the team, is on pole position now, basically, for this Grand Prix. Sainz alongside him. It means that I move up a row, and now we're alongside George Russell instead of the row behind. And then the two Alpha Tauris also share the same row then in P5 and 6. Ocon way down the order in P11, so that must have been at least two engine components changed for him, then I'm guessing. This has always been a pretty decent Grand Prix for us. I think it was even maybe the place where we finally won a race after those double DNFs in Season 5, if you remember, last season. So it was a good place. It was a place where we kick-started our season back then, and it could add to our kick-start this season, because off the back of a win, we're now right there within 10 points of the championship lead, and we've got Giovinazzi and Russell within 4 positions of ourselves on the starting grid. So if we get a good start, opening couple laps are pretty good, we have a really decent chance again of getting further points on those two, and really even putting the pressure fully now on them in the championship. So this could be a very crucial race of turning the tide. And so with that, here we go then to 5 red lights to the Belgian Grand Prix from the second row alongside our teammate Russell. The lights are on for an age, but they're finally out, and we're underway, and it's a great start for Russell. He had a look on the outside of Giovinazzi, didn't work out. Now he's on the inside, the 2 bang tyres, and that's Russell going from P3 on the grid up into P1. What a start for our teammate and rival Russell. Giovinazzi, the championship leader, P2 for now, being pressurised by Carlos Sainz, and here we come down the Kemmel Straight on the inside now. Maybe a 3-wide affair. No, not quite. Sainz gets boxed in. We can't quite get a move done on Giovinazzi. The Lotus Renault very decent in a straight line, as we found out at Austria, and so Giovinazzi maintains P2. But look at this then. The top 3 in the championship are top 3, not in the same order, but are there in the race here. So this is it. This is really going to end up being a crucial championship race, isn't it? If us 3 remain in the top 3 here, can we try and turn the tide and change the order? Well, Giovinazzi is trying to do just that on lap 3. On the outside he goes with DRS aid, and he's back up into P1. Russell, a little bit defenseless, to be honest. Didn't put up much of a fight there, as we have a little half look down the inside, but can't quite find the grip to slow the thing down and get down the inside. So Russell maintains the P2, but Giovinazzi, the pole sitter, back in P1 in the black and gold of Lotus Renault. And before we even think about trying to catch him up and have a fight for this race win, we need to overtake our teammate, who is struggling a little bit, I must say, in this first stint, it would seem. Bit of tyre wear maybe affecting Russell on these soft tyres. He gives us a good old squeeze there, so no love lost between us two, but ultimately we have the DRS and the overspeed to shoot past him and dance into Sector 2 to try and start catching now Giovinazzi if we can, though, because he's looking very quick. Someone who is not, though, is Lance Stroll in his Red Bull that his dad bought for him, his second race in it, and it's gone pop. So, ironically, this would have been Giovinazzi's car if he had stayed at Red Bull. So, in hindsight, it's all worked out swimmingly well for Giovinazzi, and this may be the 200 IQ play of this season to go to Lotus Renault, having been kicked out by Red Bull, because on lap 7, he's got a 2.2 gap to me. I cannot catch him. I don't know what's happening right now with our car, though, because Russell is now looking to defend against Sainz, and the Ferrari may get past him up into P3, gives him a good old squeeze, but the Ferrari equally gets the elbows out, has the better racing line, and the Spaniard is up into P3, so Russell's struggling, and also I cannot catch Giovinazzi. We're losing time to him. The gap is now nearly 2.3 seconds, and I can't really explain it, but after I overtook Russell, for the next couple of laps, there was a lot of weird sensations with the car. Bit of understeer in parts of the circuit, then some oversteer on some corner exits, and then in Sector 2 especially, after Pouhon, just a general feeling of stiffness, like the car was very unresponsive. It's almost like it was just driving itself. I wasn't really able to affect it too much and really get the nose in or kind of, really mid-apex do anything with the car. So I'm hoping that was maybe just the tyre wear, the worn soft tyres affecting. Let's see, as we're on to a set of medium tyres now. One lap earlier, I believe, than Giovinazzi and everyone else. So we've gone for the undercut. We know it can be very, very powerful. And we're flying through Sector 2 on this outlap, overtaking Max Verstappen in a Haas there. Such a weird sight, because only, a season or so ago, we were battling Verstappen. We were seeing Verstappen, take race victories occasionally in his Silver Arrow. So, yeah, very different makeup. But there, Giovinazzi is in. I think we've got the Ferrari as well, along with Russell. Also in Lundgaard seems to be staying out, along with maybe Yuki Tsunoda in the McLaren. So, a few different people trying to stretch some stints. Maybe going onto the hard compound tire. Giovinazzi joins me on the mediums. I think Russell will as well, but I know quite a few people on this grid have chosen the hard compound tyre, which is surprising because we've seen in previous seasons you can easily, even with a high tyre wear, can get to the end on mediums with some tyre management. And there we go! We've jumped Giovinazzi! The undercut has worked tremendously here around Spa. We're up into P1, but for how long though? Because on that same outlap, Giovinazzi is so good through Pouhon. All the AI are versus myself. I don't know what it is mid-corner. They just get so much better speed. Ever since we got to maxed out cars, they're pretty much overpowered through that entire section of Spa. And so Giovinazzi gives me a real good run for the money. We're able to just about stay ahead of him on P4 on the road. It will be P1 eventually on lap 10. But yeah, what an undercut. So now it's a case of defending, because to be honest, it seems like Gio and that Lotus are the quicker package in duo right now. We were struggling on that first stint. Maybe the medium tyres will be better for us, but it's going to be a case of looking on our mirrors and trying to control the lead of this Grand Prix. But we've been here before, we can do it again, hopefully, as we see Tsunoda overtaking Lando Norris, that was for a McLaren scrap for P10, Gasly then P9, Lundgaard, Leclerc, Drogovic doing quite well in the Red Bull, to be fair, all things considered, with their race pace here around Spa. Ocon on the hard compound, Russell closing up to Sainz, who is on the back of Giovinazzi, who is well on the back of myself as we lock up into turn 1. It may be a 3, maybe in 4-way fight if Russell can keep up, who seems to be doing better on this set of medium tyres. But here goes Giovinazzi. Even though we're deploying ERS, Gio's got a great run. He almost got us into Rouge. He had to back out of it now, but up Radion and then the Kemmel straight, Giovinazzi now has DRS. It's so powerful in this section of Spa that ERS deployment will only just about get us alongside. Bit of twitch on the rear end as we wrestle the car over the curb on the right hand side, that was, and we're just drifting it into the next section up into P1. Oh, what the? Oh, what the? What What have we just seen? Massive dive bomb from Giovinazzi. Where's Russell come from? Russell's up into P3 as we now move down to P2. Just about keep P2 though, because Russell was almost down our inside. Let's look at a replay, because that was a truly biblical dive bomb from Giovinazzi. He was miles back. Look at this. Look at that for a dive bomb into P1. I don't know how he slowed it down. If I tried that, I'd lock up on the right tyre so horrendously. But Giovinazzi showing his talent, showing maybe why he's in this championship fight. Russell does equally quite well to dive bomb Sainz, and then somehow ended up trying to make a move on me, really. So more so really maybe that I'm just slow through that corner versus the AI, which I'll fully admit I am in this entire section right here through the right-hander, then Puon. The AI is so much better than me, and Sainz there then repays Russell the favour by dive bombing him back at Puon, and he's up into P3. So absolute madness of position changes there. I lost a position, Russell gained one, then lost one again. It's all kicking off here around spot. Absolute classic bit of fighting here, and we're going to come back through though. Look how powerful the DRS is for us as we pull through from so far back. We know the engine is absolute class in the back of this car, and the drag reduction we've got on this thing as well just means we're able to push past him using all the ERS we can at that point in the circuit with the DRS in hand. You love to see it, but the fighting's definitely not done over there, because here we are, lap 14, Giovinazzi getting past us again into turn 1 this time, and to be honest, we've kind of almost let him through on purpose, playing a bit of a wily old fox game to then try and retake him in Eau Rouge, and not only that, but also then get DRS up down the Kemmel Straight, of course, because the detection point is before that entire complex. So as we go back up into P1, DRS open, Sainz almost follows us through, but we're back into P1, so that's all I cared about. Sainz is trying his best to actually have a half look at P1, but no, in the end he gets squeezed out, and Gio retakes P2, but we're having to play this a little bit tactically, just like that, because I know Giovinazzi is actually the quicker car. You know, technically, if he was to get past us and he was able to actually get a clean run, he would pull away. So we need to play this very clever and try and keep him in the DRS range, play around with him a little bit to try and make sure that we're able to re-overtake him at the correct points of the circuit. So it's also a case of actually trying to remain patient and not panic when Giovinazzi overtakes us like this, because we know right now, DRS open, we can re-overtake him very easily. He squeezes a little bit as the Ferrari is round. Oh my god, Carlos Sainz loses the back end in a straight line trying to go for a move with DRS, and this safety car is out now because of that, as he clouts the wall and brings it out. We almost hit the safety car because didn't know where the hell he was on the left hand side as he waited a whole lap to pick us up, and then we move on 2 laps later, lap 17. You know, we spoke about our engine components being a little bit worn but not too bad right now. Well, over the course of this single race, I think due to the control electronics being so worn, and that affects the rest of the wear of the engine, the rate it wears, we've actually got other components now that are worn out. So maybe that's why our car's been feeling a bit weird actually in the middle of this race, and you know, inferior to the Lotus Renault in many regards in terms of the acceleration and power mid-apex, because some of our components are very worn. So for sure next episode we're going to have to look at taking some grid penalties to try and get some fresh components for the remainder of this season. But here we are now, another safety car restart, another bit of extreme bit of weaving just to try and play a few little games here with the man right behind us. This time though, to be honest, I wouldn't mind if Giovinazzi overtakes us, because again, even without DRS, I'd rather be behind him, to be honest, at the Kemmel Straight, as we've got yellow flags as some cars had some sort of issue on the restart then, and Gio has a little half look into Eau Rouge. Russell even had a bit of a look in at Giovinazzi, so Russell has re-arrived then in this fight with no more Sainz to block him. We've now once again got the top 3 in the championship fighting for the top 3 spots in this race. We are able to maintain P1 though. Russell giving Giovinazzi a real good go though for P2, and he might do it again as Russell pulls out on the right hand side, and they're side by side now. Up Radion, wheel to wheel, and Russell may just get up into P2. He is into P2 by a whisker, and now fully up ahead of Giovinazzi. The Ferrari of Ocon on the hard tyre even has a go at Giovinazzi. Maybe the tyre wear for us medium runners Lotus is finally kicking in a bit too much. Maybe the Ferrari, the lone Ferrari now in this race, in the points, having a go, trying to get on the podium, but Giovinazzi just ever present and so persistent, and shows his talent once again this season to maintain P3. I don't know if he'll be able to chase back after him. I'm sure he will, and try to get back into P2 and try and re-overtake Russell, and then even have a go at us. But this is ideal, and actually, you know what? We can help Russell a little bit and help ourselves, because I'd rather have Russell in P2 than Giovinazzi, and this would be a great result. Obviously, remember, as the team owner, for the team as well, to get our first 1-2 of this partnership of this season. So we're going to make sure we stay within a good range of Russell, not enough for him to overtake us. As you can see, we're using all our ERS to make sure he has no chance to make a dive bomb and be a bit cheeky, but at the same time, we're playing the team game by giving him the DRS toe. 1.5 full racing laps to go, and as we go on towards that last lap of the Grand Prix, we're actually playing even more tactically, because yes, that's Russell overtaking us, because we actually make sure we don't fight him whatsoever. He had a really great run at us through Blanchimont, and we're not going to fight him too much. Actually break a little bit early on purpose into the bus stop, because like we did with Giovinazzi, we know being second is actually better here as we enter the last lap of the Grand Prix. This is a little bit risky, because he is actually now getting away a little bit by 4/10, but I'm confident that we should be able to re-overtake him. He's got no DRS. I don't know about his ERS situation, where he's deploying it, but personally, I'm going to deploy it all the way up this hill now, as we let off a little bit just mid-apex, then get back on the ERS power, open up the rear flap, and we're gaining, and we are gone into P1 once again. Purple first sector, actually, even, with that massive toe off Russell. Little bit hairy on the rear end there, as the tyres are wearing out a little bit, and the engine is definitely a little bit worn out, as its red icon on the right hand side. But we are going to book this in as we now come through to the final 2 corners of this race. We're going to come through for the win at the Belgian Grand Prix, and it'll be the team's first ever 1-2 this season, the first 1-2 for the aarava Russell partnership.
Great work all weekend. Thank you guys, thank you so much.
And that is back-to-back race victories, just like our teammate Russell did earlier in the year. And that, well, I'm not sure about the maths, but that should make it game on for this Drivers' World Championship. What a race, what a win, what a 1-2.
A difficult race then on one of the all-time classic circuits, but they persevered to take the win here today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
A show-stopping performance from the 3 drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
No matter how hard the challenge, no matter how hard we fall in earlier in the season, you can bet I will continue to dig deep, and we'll find that moment where it's our time to shine in the season. And this is it, 2 back-to-back victories. That is more like it. And a 1-2 for the team. That is awesome. And with Red Bull, obviously, one of their cars was out of the Grand Prix. Drogovic did very well to be in P5, to be fair, considering the Red Bull, you know, this circuit and the next one really shouldn't be a great track for them on this game. He's done very well to limit the damage, but that will be massive for the constructors. But look at that in the Drivers' Championship. I didn't even know we could do that, but we're leading now. Leaving Belgium, we're leading by 1 measly point to Giovinazzi. A few points back for Russell. That is absolutely amazing. It is truly game on. And the thing is, it's not going to be easy, because Giovinazzi clearly is still going to be a threat in that Lotus Renault. And, well, I mean, if it weren't for things like the undercut and some clever driving in the second stint, it could have been a very different race, you know, without that safety car, without the pit stop as well at the same time. Maybe Giovinazzi may have had a better run to kind of just walk away with this one, because he was doing that in the first stint. Like I said, in the constructors, though, it's massive for us that Red Bull are weaker now. Lotus, Renault are stronger. They move up the order. McLaren as well, but they're busy fighting low down in P6 P7, how the mighty have fallen for the reigning world champions, fighting Williams down there. And then for us, you know, the task is easier now as a unit, because myself and George are scoring good points. We're right up there, unlike the two new Red Bulls now in the rest of the season. So guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. The championship fight is truly on.